You had another story last week because it's a slow week, and I respect more when you say, "Well, nothing's going on this week."
Well, stuff's
What am I
going
going to
on,
force
but it's
stuff?
like it's stuff that's out there anyway. I mean, I could talk about Steve Austin because that's my story in the first place.
There you go. Yeah. What's going on with is Steve Austin doing this match? And if he is it just in jeans and a nonsense match? He's not going to be in full tights.
Well, I told you what Ronda Rousey was going to wear, but I haven't really seen people talking about that when I turned around and said 3 months before she's coming back, and then a week before when someone else is credited for the story, I say, okay, this is what she's going to be wearing. So
Yeah, no.
yeah, so but on this instance, I can't tell you what he's going to be wearing at this point in time. I do know that he's been training for a while, but when I said, and I was the first one to say that Steve Austin is going to be heavily involved at WrestleMania, my initial understanding there were only two ideas, which I broke here on the show. Do you recall what they were?
Was it one of them? Was one of them hosting by chance?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't even think that's a. I'm like, who cares about that? What's the other one?
Yeah, the first one was to host. Was they were thinking about having him to be the host, and that was going to be the payoff to McMahon and Austin Theory, where he ended up stunning Austin Theory. The other one was for him to be, and at one point they were thinking, why don't we do both across 2 nights? The other one was to have him as the enforcer,
yes,
the referee for the Roman Lesnar match, so that he would keep the Usos away from the ring. The issue with that is that we didn't really get that finish at day one, where the Usos and Paul Heyman, where Paul Heyman would turn on Brock Lesnar and the Usos will be involved in the finish, etc., which is how we got the belt, which is how we got from Brock never getting the belt and still managing to get a third title match, obviously via the Royal Rumble. So that story's been tweaked slightly, but we've always been on here to report the changes with that correctly as they've happened, with the belt going to Lashley, etc. So as things stand, he's not going to be doing that. They want to commit to him finding a bigger role, which is finally doing this wrestling match. And with Steve Austin doing this, don't think to yourself it's so much about Dallas, and that Dallas will be the one and done situation that is being reported in the sheets. If Steve Austin does this match, the primary reason for Steve, and when I say if, I mean he's going to probably do this match, and the primary reason for it is simply because Steve Austin has been mulling over and tentatively knocking back $5 to $6 million offers to do single matches in Saudi. There is a list of matches there that they want Steve Austin to do, which includes wrestling against Goldberg, which I don't think will happen, because if Steve Austin's going to come back, the list is going to be very much going up against guys that can protect Steve Austin.
You're looking at, and can work and do all the work for him.
Right. Owens, AJ, Rollins, I would think. For him to get into the ring with Goldberg, as wanted by the Saudi prince, then there would have to be a whole lot of preparation and a whole load of comfort on Austin's side in order to go and do that. But these are the kind of things that are on the table, in terms of, at one point we were so close to seeing Steve Austin versus Triple H in Saudi when Triple H was healthy. That was really close. That was really close to happening before they ended up going with a tag team deal with Shawn Michaels coming back instead. That was around about that time. That was near the start of these Saudi deals. So we've been close with it before. And I think if they pull the trigger on this, and this alone will be 2 or 3 mil anyway, then we open the door to taking a couple of years worth of Saudi matches and Steve Austin pocketing another $25-30 million, which will be very close to, I mean, if he makes another 25-30 million, that's half of what he's made through his entire career. Because as big as those Attitude years were, what people don't understand is the $12 to $10 million years for Austin, right? There were only 4 of them. There's only 4 of them, right? He's not, his run isn't as long as people think. I know people put him up there in high regard and with Stone Cold Steve Austin, but he was only massively active in 97 as a top guy, 97, 98, 99, and he missed nearly all of 99. He missed nearly all of 2000. So 97, 98, 99, missed nearly all of 2000, and then we had 2001 where he was primarily a heel. So you only have those 4 years. Obviously, on paper, it will be 6 years because the King of the Rings in 96. There's obviously a bounce from that. He is actually employed in 2000, and in 2002 he stays around till May. But you've got 4 peak Steve Austin years where he's the number one guy shifting the merchandise. So Steve Austin's fortune is probably around about 60, 70 million. And some of that has been aided by being a merchandise seller since he left the company. I mean, Steve Austin's been paid around $400,000 a year just to have his involvement, just to have his Legends deal with the WWE. And on top of that, in this particular year, when they went back to touring, and we saw like the prominent release of the Austin 316 shirts, of the city shirts, of Brooklyn 316, Dallas 316, Phoenix 316, etc. This has been a year where he rose to the second biggest merchandise seller in the year 2021. Although, that was only for the house show period, but still, he still was enough to get him second. And that would have seen him pocketing an additional $1 million on top of that as well. But if you look at all of that, and then you look at it compared to, I worked a full year with this company for $12 million. I worked a full year on top. I worked house shows. I did all of that. I can match what I made through the peak years of the Attitude Era by making 2 appearances in Saudi Arabia, 1 in February and 1 in November every year. In fact, they're gonna up their shows to 3 shows a year in order to compensate for the pandemic. Now there'll be an introduction of a summer show at some point. My understanding is. So yeah, I mean, Steve Austin can be reeling off 15 to $20 million a year by doing 3 matches if he wants to. But I think at some point you will need to adhere to the request where they say, we want you to go in there with Goldberg. We want you to go in there with Triple H. We want you to go in there with, well, John Cena's not going to go there. So how are you going to do that? I don't know. You're not going to be able to. But yeah, this is what they want.
And so you're thinking this is not going to be that street fight type of match where he's in jeans and everything. You think he's going to be in full what he was gear, or is he going to be, or is this going to be, he's going to be hiding?
I don't disregard that it's going to be some kind of like Texas street fight or bull rope match or something, something that they can do. I almost feel that there was a dog collar match announced on AEW this week, and I almost feel that maybe something is something they know something in terms of, if they do a really, really good dog collar match, people will not think anything of the fact that WWE are doing a Texas strap. What's it called? The Texas strap match, or
yeah, just be a strap match. I mean, you would call it Texas,
or you do
wherever you're at.
Or you do Texas Death Match, and Owens just
rope match.
This is the thing. My belief is that Owens has been chosen not because we do the stunner versus stunner thing, but my belief is that if there is some kind of Texas Death Match, then he will take bumps that other people didn't want to take. I mean, we've seen this guy take a massive bump off the WrestleMania sign. Yeah. We've seen him come off cages and stuff. This is what, he's not Mick Foley, but this is the guy who is willing to do Mick Foley type things. And I believe the way that you hide Austin in this match and make it memorable is just for Kevin Owens to do things in that match where that's all you remember, how badly Owens got his. Obviously, the IWC community and the people who appreciate the work rate, etc., will understand exactly what they saw. And that's really the problem that I have with it, because that fan base has primarily become the fan base at this juncture. Like, they'll understand that you're hiding the fact that Steve Austin can't come out and wrestle and doesn't want to take on his neck, and he won't.
Yeah.
I mean, Steve Austin's not going to go there and do what Edge done. He's not going to get spine busters on his neck and pop up powerbombed or anything like that. But I do think he's going to go out there and brawl, and I do think that they're going to they're going to hit each other with things, and Owens is going to primarily be taking the brunt of the bumps. But yeah, my understanding is that this is happening because it's easy to navigate from where he was at. Once he already agreed to do WrestleMania and he was going to be heavily involved, for this to now come up, it means the money can be right, and it means that he can turn around and go, okay, I did one. Do you remember the Shawn Michaels thing in 2002 where he came out and said, I genuinely thought I was coming to wrestle Triple H for one match, right?
Yeah.
But then Vince McMahon puts him over in the match. We do the injury angle at the end, but Vince McMahon puts him over. Now, to do that, to make that decision in 2002, when Triple H is your top heel and Shawn Michaels says he's wrestling one match, and to put Shawn Michaels over, there's no way that you think that Shawn Michaels is doing one match. So I think this is going to be more of a situation where Steve Austin knows prior to WrestleMania. And I think even if he does tell them, this is my only match, I found getting ready for this match really hard. I found training and taking the bumps really difficult. So this is going to be my only match. They're still going to put him over in Texas, right? He's not going to lose.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't worry about that. But with the Shawn Michaels thing back in 2002, I think that was a case of, yes, it's going to be one and done. But in the weeks or the days leading up to that match at SummerSlam, I think it was decided already that Michaels was going to be able to give Triple H the win back, because there's no way he would have gone over otherwise. And I think Steve Austin will know, and his body will know, if Steve Austin is going to do more than WrestleMania afterwards. And I think he's doing this not just to wrestle in Texas, because I believe that his send-off against The Rock, he would be happier with that than he would be doing one more match in Texas. I don't think he needs $5 million, but does he need or want $35 million to do, to do these Saudi dates? I would say, yeah, I would say this is what he's trying to do. I believe
hard to leave on the table.
I believe this is being done to see, all right, so they've pulled the money truck up and I'll take it. And a part of the reason I'm going to take it is to see if I can take these other dates too. That's got to be the reason.